The two executives caught on that now infamous Coldplay kiss cam were first identified on a TikTok account of someone who apparently works at the company. Oh my god, that looks like Astronomer CEO Andy Byron and Astronomer Chief People Officer Kristin Cabot. That's gonna be one awkward board meeting, if not a couple divorces too.
It was supposed to be just another packed-out Coldplay concert. A stadium full of flashing lights, screaming fans, and harmless kiss cam fun. But when that camera landed on two very familiar faces in the crowd, the entire vibe shifted in an instant. Viewers didn't just see an awkward moment, they witnessed the spark that lit the fuse on one of the most explosive corporate scandals of the year. There they were, Astronomer CEO Andy Byron and his own Chief People Officer Kristin Cabot, both very much married to other people, caught in a strange, almost squirming embrace that made even strangers in the crowd do a double take. Within seconds, that 15-second Jumbotron clip wasn't just embarrassing, it became a viral wrecking ball, tearing through TikTok, Reddit, and newsrooms faster than the band could finish their song. And here's the kicker. According to insiders, what you saw on that kiss cam wasn't the beginning of the story, it was the very public climax of something brewing for months behind closed boardroom doors and encrypted company chats. And the more people dig, the more it's looking like this was never just about a kiss, it was about power, ego, and a cover-up that blew up under stadium lights. The internet detectives didn't need long to put names to the faces. The very first person to out them wasn't a random concert goer or some gossip blogger, it was someone who appeared to work inside the company itself. That's right. The TikTok that lit this fire came from an account that not only recognized Kristin Cabot instantly, but knew her exact title, knew that both she and Andy Byron were married, and wasn't afraid to post it for the world to see. That's gonna be one awkward board meeting, the caption read, and it wasn't a joke. Behind that throwaway line was insider knowledge that hit like a corporate grenade. Because if the person leaking this knew that much, it meant the whispers had been swirling inside Astronomer long before the Coldplay crowd ever saw that flinch. And once that first post dropped, the dam broke. Former employees started hinting that what the world just saw was merely the surface of a months-long open secret, a CEO and his head of HR, blurring the lines between personal and professional, so openly that even mid-level managers were raising eyebrows. And while no one had produced the smoking gun evidence yet, the speed at which this clip exploded online told you everything you needed to know. This was a story people inside the company had been dying to tell, and now the whole world was listening. From there, things escalated at lightning speed. Within days of the video going viral, Andy Byron was out as CEO, Kristin Cabot's LinkedIn profile vanished without a trace, and Astronomer's board went into full-blown crisis mode. The official company statement was carefully worded, saying leaders are expected to set the standard in conduct and accountability, and recently, that standard was not met. But insiders insist this wasn't some noble act of corporate self-reflection. It was pure panic. According to people close to the board, they'd seen trouble coming long before Coldplay ever hit the stage. The concert moment wasn't a freak accident, it was the world finally catching up to what employees had quietly suspected for months. Rumors swirled that Kit's rapid hiring had been fast-tracked with unusual urgency just 8 months earlier, bypassing the usual vetting process. And once she was in, something shifted. Internal meetings took strange turns. The CEO began deferring to her on matters far outside HR. And it started to feel like the company was being run by a two-person inner circle. For many inside Astronomer, the kiss cam moment didn't just confirm suspicions, it ripped the lid off a power dynamic that had been hiding in plain sight. Behind the scenes, the whispers got louder not just about what people had seen at the concert, but about what might still be hiding inside Astronomer's own systems. Former staff claimed there were Slack message threads between Byron and Kit that went far beyond standard workplace chatter messages, with a tone and frequency that raised serious questions. According to multiple insiders, some of these exchanges might still exist on company servers, and if lawyers get involved, they could be subpoenaed. No screenshots have surfaced yet, but that hasn't stopped internet sleuths from scouring old press photos, org charts, and archived LinkedIn posts for signs of the pair's unusually close connection. Meanwhile, both Byron and Kit went radio silent, scrubbing their professional profiles as if they'd never worked there. And then came the most quietly devastating move of all, Byron's wife, Meghan Carrion, allegedly learned about the scandal the same way the rest of the world did, on TikTok. She didn't post a rant, she didn't go to the press, she simply dropped her husband's last name from all her social media accounts within 24 hours, a silent rebranding the internet instantly dubbed the most savage divorce, softy launch ever. For anyone still wondering if there was more to this than a bad camera moment, that was the answer loud and clear. If Meghan's silent move was a public mic drop, inside Astronomer, the atmosphere was pure lockdown. Sources say within hours of the video hitting millions of views, leadership pages vanished from the company website. LinkedIn profiles for both Byron and Kit were erased, and an alleged company-wide gag order went out. Employees were told to avoid speculative conversations on any work channels and forward all media inquiries straight to legal. All-hands meetings were quietly canceled, and internal chat rooms that once buzzed with gossip went dead overnight. But not everyone kept quiet. Former employees began leaking stories about a toxic inner circle that operated like an untouchable club, where questioning decisions, especially those tied to Kit, could cost you your job. One anonymous Exu staffer claimed they were pushed out after raising concerns in a private Slack channel. Another said their role mysteriously disappeared right after Kit requested oversight on their project. These claims remain unverified, but the pattern was hard to ignore, and the faster Astronomer tried to erase the scandal, the more people started digging. What had started as a funny, awkward concert moment was now snowballing into a full-blown workplace expose, and the internet was only just getting warmed up. And that's when the timeline started to unravel. Posts began surfacing claiming that Byron and Kit hadn't just been spotted together at the Coldplay concert, they'd allegedly been seen side by side at multiple public events in the weeks before. A tech leadership summit in San Francisco, a charity gala just a month earlier, even a quiet dinner after a board strategy session. At the time, no one thought much of it, but in hindsight, those sightings started to look less like coincidence and more like a pattern. Then came one of the strangest details yet: reports that the woman seated next to Kristen Kit at the Coldplay show wasn't a random friend, but allegedly her assistant brought along to act as a buffer in case anyone recognized the pair. According to one source claiming to work in Astronomer's HR department, this was no casual hangout. It was a calculated move to create cover. The plan might have worked too, if not for that split-second panic on Byron's face when the kiss cam locked in. The flinch was all it took. In that instant, the illusion shattered, the internet pounced, and the story shifted from corporate gossip to a ticking PR time bomb that no amount of internal spin could contain. From that moment, the scandal stopped being just an internet joke and became a potential corporate crisis with real legal teeth. Industry insiders claimed a major tech news outlet was already digging into Astronomer's internal culture, interviewing former employees and combing through whatever leaked documents they could get their hands on. Behind closed doors, whispers grew louder about whether Byron and Kit's relationship had influenced hiring decisions, promotions, or even the handling of complaints. Some alleged Kit had veto power over sensitive HR matters, including whistleblower reports, effectively making her the gatekeeper for any internal dissent. Others hinted at NDAs and quiet buyouts offered to employees who got too close to the truth. And while no lawsuit had been filed yet, legal experts warned it was only a matter of time if any of those whispers turned into hard evidence. Meanwhile, interim CEO Pete DeJoy was working overtime to keep investors from panicking, holding private meetings to assure them Astronomer's core business was still stable. But the damage was already bleeding into the brand. Marketing partnerships were suddenly on pause. At least one major client was rumored to be reconsidering its contract, and the company's name was now trending online for all the wrong reasons. This wasn't just a leadership scandal anymore, it was a slow emotion implosion playing out in real time. While the board tried to keep the company from collapsing, the personal fallout was just as brutal. Meghan Carrion, Andy Byron's now estranged wife, continued her silent but deadly campaign unfollowing every Astronomer executive on Instagram, scrubbing every photo of Andy from her profile, and locking down her LinkedIn. Sources close to her claimed she was already consulting with legal representation, though no divorce filings had surfaced yet. On social media, Go Meghan was trending, turning her into an unlikely internet hero. People weren't just rooting for her, they were demanding she cash in with a memoir deal. But the bigger story wasn't just about a marriage imploding, it was about the cultural earthquake this had triggered inside the tech world. Astronomers' internal audit had reportedly expanded to investigate not just Byron and Kit's history, but the company's entire HR infrastructure, with outside consultants brought in to review whether employee departures over the past year were handled ethically or buried in a culture of silence. And every move the company made, every press release, every investor call was now being filtered through the lens of that stadium jumbotron, a CEO's flinch, and a scandal too big to be swept under the rug. By now, the silence from both Byron and Kit had become deafening. Not a single public statement, not even a denial, and insiders whispered it wasn't just shame keeping them quiet, it was strategy. Some claimed the pair were bound by airtight NDAs. Others suspected their lawyers were bracing for possible shareholder action, depending on what surfaced from the company's digital forensics sweep. Word was that teams were working around the clock to recover deleted Slack messages, emails, and any trace of internal communications that might confirm allegations of favoritism or abuse of power. And while nothing concrete had leaked yet, the longer the blackout lasted, the more the public assumed there was something worth hiding. On TikTok, the kiss cam moment had already been turned into a viral meme format. On Reddit, entire threads were dedicated to tracking their every digital move, from the vanishing of their LinkedIn profiles to archived photos being quietly scrubbed from company blogs. Even X, formerly Twitter, had its own theory-building frenzy. With many framing this as more than a messy affair, they saw it as a textbook example of how power gets abused when the enforcers of workplace rules start breaking them. The story had moved beyond gossip. It had become a cautionary tale, and the internet wasn't about to let it die down quietly. And that's the real legacy of the Coldplay kiss cam scandal. It stopped being about one awkward flinch in the middle of a concert and became a full-blown lesson in how quickly a carefully polished corporate image can go up in flames. In less than 2 weeks, Astronomer went from a rising tech darling to a trending hashtag for all the wrong reasons. The CEO is gone, the head of HR is gone. Their names and faces have been scrubbed from the company's official history, but the questions are still there, louder than ever. How did this go on for so long without anyone stepping in? What happens when the person responsible for protecting employees is allegedly part of the problem? And if the receipts everyone is whispering about ever surface, will Astronomer even survive the fallout? For now, the stadium lights are off, the music has faded, but the damage is permanent. Every future investor call, every press release, every executive hire will carry the shadow of that one 15-second clip that the internet will never forget. This wasn't just a scandal, it was a corporate car crash in slow motion, and the wreckage is still smoking. So what do you think really happened behind the scenes? Drop your theories in the comments, smash that like button if this blindsided you, and don't forget to subscribe, because if the leaks start dropping, you know we'll have every explosive update right here.